The best part of waking up is fragments of silicon in your cup.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to an unconventionally scheduled episode of Fragments of Silicon. I say that because we usually don't broadcast on Thursday mornings, but here we are due to rescheduling concerns. Anyway, with that in mind, joining us today is one Albertino Robello of Timeless Games.
Hello, good morning, everybody.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. Quite busy, but it's all right.
Of course, it is that time of year. Also, it's because you've got an active Kickstarter going on.
That's it. That's it. It's just 8 days to finish, and so far we've collected like almost $4,000, and we still have to collect like $6,000 more. But we think that we have in 1 week and a day we will have time to collect this amount of money.
Right. That's definitely a big gap. I mean, but not insurmountable. Right. So I suppose we should start out by explaining to the audience, what is Time Wanderer?
Well, I would say that Time Wanderer is an RPG which looks and feels a bit like Chrono Trigger, a bit like the Zelda 2D games, and I would say that it's a homage to films such as Star Trek or Back to the Future.
Quite a mix. Now, in terms of an RPG, is it a turn-based RPG or is it an action?
It's an action. It's an action RPG in which you wander around a set of environments. I would say that there are like 7 time zones, each of them represented in a different setting. And you can travel through the ancient Egypt, or you can go and fight the Crusades in Europe. So you have a lot of representations of all around the world in different times. And what you have to do is travel to each of these places and get back what the way, well, like a stone which allows you to get back to your time.
And is this like non-linear or linear? Like, do you get to select?
Yes, it's absolutely linear in the sense that obviously you have to explore. There's a lot of dungeon exploration, and you have to go to visit many villages and speak to many people. But by the end of the day, it's all very linear. You start a story and you finish the story.
Right. And what is the story of a Time Wanderer? Like, who is the Time Wanderer and why is she wandering?
Well, she is called Corina. The main star of the game is called Corina, and it's in year 3012, which a reptilian race has invaded the world, and the only way to save the world is to go back in time and change some things that have happened before. Corina is Dr. Face's daughter, and she will take on the role of a hero, and she will have to travel back in time and change things that have happened before.
It's certainly ambitious. Like, right. So, I suppose we should get to the core of the matter here. Like, how did this game come about
Yes.
in its origins?
Yes, look, in first place, The game is made by a development professor in Spain and by a programmer based in the United States, in Florida, actually. They are lovers of sci-fi. They like films, like I told you before, Back to the Future, or series such as Star Trek. And they wanted to make something like a game based in time traveling. uh, their favorite genre is action RPGs, so they decided to make this game. There were a lot of things that started in a way, and now they aren't like that anymore. For instance, the platform in which it was going to be released before, it was more mobile based, but it has moved completely into PlayStation 4 and Steam. So now the project is just for these platforms, because it was quite ambitious, actually. And basically, these are things that have changed in terms of the platforms, but we have also changed in the way uh, things had to be changed in the past, so the future had a different present, because we found that it was very hard, actually, to make things consistent. So the whole plot has changed all over time.
Hmm. And what made the developers switch from mobile-focused development to console PC?
Yes. There's a big thing that happened, is that it was awarded with the PlayStation Talents um, prize. It wasn't actually a prize. You are selected to be one of the few studios to be able to develop games on PlayStation exclusively. And Sony gives you the dev kits, and they promote your game, and they help you with marketing and stuff. So that was an opportunity for us to switch our first intention of making a mobile games such as the ones that we did before, into something more ambitious, bigger, not as big as like a 3D game, but still like a 2D game with a lot of characters and a lot of story behind it.
Now, is it like single-player focused, or will there be other companions alongside Karina, like Secret of Mana?
Yes, I know. No, not. It's not like that. You have a character, which is Karina, who will be making the starring role. You won't be able to switch characters. No.
Okay. And right, so before we move on, I believe we have a trailer for this game.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
All right, so we shall play that.
All right, yeah. Give me 1 second.
So the first thing that's been jumping out at me since I've seen this game is the character design, specifically like the in-game character design. It's got the SD big head thing going on here. Is there anything to that, or is that just
Yes.
something that?
There are three reasons why it's like that. The first reason is that the target group of the game is mostly there are two target groups. One of them is children from, I would say, 8 to 12, who like simple games, cheap games. But there's another target which is more, and this is why it's a bit cartoonish. And there's a target which is more mature, which is our biggest target, and they're looking something for like pixel art or with 2D. So we believe that these characters appeal to both targets, and besides that, it's easy to make nice expressions of their faces and their bodies. Actually, there are two types. You can see the characters in two ways. Just with the sprite, which is like more deformed, oh, and the more anime-like. In It's not menus; it's like conversations.
Right. And yeah, let's see. How is the gameplay going to work? Is it just combat, or are you going to be dealing with puzzles? And is there magic?
Yes, there are villages and dungeons in which, and well, and country where you have to walk around, and in each of these places you do different kinds of things. In spite of the fact that you can do any kind of thing at any time, villages are more for conversations, while with other villagers or to find out clues about what you are finding out. I would say that dungeons is more puzzle based and fighting based. In this sense, we think that gameplay, you play the same way all of the time, but depending on the setting, you do some things or others.
Right. And what kind of weapon does Kareem wield?
Well, weapons are not definitely finished because every type of weapon is quite open yet, because we have to see if graphically it can fit properly to what we want to show, and maybe we prefer not using certain types of weapons rather than others. So I would say that this is something that can change, and maybe speaking a lot about that, it doesn't really show what you will be finding in the final game.
I see. Right. Interesting. Right. So I suppose the question that beckons now is how far along in development is Time Wanderer, and what made you all go to Kickstarter?
Yes, Time Wanderer is now 60% finished. This is a game that we want to release on Steam for sure, and we also want to be in PlayStation 4, and this is the big reason why we want to be funded on Kickstarter. Bear in mind that the studio's main activity is not making games. Each of the two big heads there, which is a programmer and the game designer, are I would say that they have other jobs and they cannot focus on the game full time. So these fundings on Kickstarter would also help both of them to to, to put more effort on Time Wanderer than what they are putting it now. Besides, with the Kickstarter campaign, we are certain to capture the attention of the community. This is something quite important for us because we believe that nowadays customers have to be built from on a daily basis almost. So we think that if we are able to capture their attention and show our product in first place, this would highly increase the chances of being known by the community.
Mm. Those are some fairly typical reasons to do crowdfunding.
Mm-hmm.
And what are your goals? Like your initial goal and stretch goals?
Well, our basic goal is to be able to develop the game on Steam and PlayStation 4. Once we have achieved that goal, but we have to be realistic. We won't go on top of that. I mean, that wouldn't be realistic. We also want to develop the game on Switch, but we think that probably that will be happening not because of the Kickstarter campaign, but once we have started selling the game.
Right. So that would come after the initial releases of Time Wanderer.
Yes.
Right. And I suppose, given where things lie right now, what would happen if this game doesn't meet its initial goal? Does that mean cancellation, or just like it would take longer for the game to come out?
Well, if this doesn't work, we will try to get fundings from Indiegogo.
Mhm.
And apart from that, if we don't get the money, the project will be released at least on Steam, but probably it will take longer. I mean, well, we will have to take longer to finish the game. Otherwise, it won't have the quality that is needed to be released properly. So this is it's basically a matter of time, or it's also basically a matter of being able to focus on the game rather than on other things.
Okay. So, okay, that's actually good to hear that even if this doesn't succeed, the project will forge ahead. Anyway, so what are your pledge tiers and what are you offering in each tier?
The things that we offer is basically the game. We also offer in another tier the original soundtrack, and we are also offering the art book. Um, and obviously being on the credits and being mentioned in the game as a whole. So this is basically what we are offering.
Hmm. And like, how much can you pledge to this game? Like,
Yes. I will have to check that. I will have to check that because I don't have the tiers in mind, and I don't want to say something that is wrong. But this is something that can easily be found on our site on Kickstarter. And our tiers are extremely cheap, and we believe that this is something that any RPG lover can stand for.
yeah. As it so happens, I'm on the page right now. The pledges run as low as $1, then $17, 20, 25, 30, 35, so on and so forth, up to about $100. Yeah, 99 or more. Worth noting that the $60 tier has already been all claimed. So,
Yes.
um, right. So, is this game being developed in Unity, or is it like using a custom engine?
No, it's developed in Unity. The sorry, the game is being developed by the last version of Unity actually.
Okay.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Um, right. So I'm gonna see if my cohorts here have any questions about Time Wanderer here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So, are there going to be a bunch of puzzle solving aspects in the game as well, besides just RPG combat?
Yes, puzzles will be found in the dungeons, basically, and you will have to work out how to escape from it.
Mm. So, is it more about combat or more about puzzles?
I think that it's more about combat because puzzles are also made or are also used with the weapons and with the action. So
Mm.
there are puzzles, but I basically think that it's more combat puzzle. Maybe I find myself a bit contradictory with this answer because I think that I feel that it's more action rather than puzzling.
Mm. All right, and I think that's it from me.
All right, Galax.
Aside from specific abilities that you get, like leaving a shadow of yourself on a switch or something, you don't have a ton of like time travel puzzle things. It's more about going to different periods in history, right? Like you don't have to like go back in time to make a puzzle in a room solvable and then come back afterwards,
No,
right?
it's not so complex. But depending on what you do in each stage, you will have one ending or another. So you basically have like we pretend to have like 5 different endings depending on your actions in the past.
Okay.
Right. It's you affect the past, you affect the present, you affect the future.
Yes, yes. You never know whether the future is the present. Actually, it's, sometimes it's a bit difficult to see the timeline in the game. I mean, you know the timeline where you are, obviously, but things get mixed up, and because of the things that you are able to change in the past, uh, you see that future or present is not exactly the same.
Hmm. Makes sense. All right then. Um, I think I'm good on Time Wanderer here. What about you guys?
I think I'm good too.
I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Thanks
No,
a lot. Then.
no problem. The game is Time Wanderer. It's currently on Kickstarter. It has 8 days to go at time of recording. Um, you know, be sure, Petty Fan, make sure there's a link to the Kickstarter. When cut the video and such.
Yeah, there's one in the Discord. I'll throw one in the chat real quick since we have some people.
Yeah, like, and yeah, it's about it's $3,603 out of a pledged $10,000 goal. So it's got a bit to go. So every little bit helps at this stage, and hopefully it will make its goal. But if it doesn't, this game will appear. Just not on the PlayStation 4 and it'll take longer from what I'm gathering here. Anyway, so yeah, that'll about do it for this installment of Fragments of Silicon. Be sure to tune in tomorrow where we have the Dusk multiplayer session happening. So until then, I wish you good gaming.